Welcome to the Greater Purpose Podcast, and my guest today, Senator Brad Overcash.
Thank you.
So glad to have you here today.
It's great to be back.
Yeah, appreciate you coming back for your follow-up visit.
Absolutely.
So we're going to talk a little bit about the follow-up visit in just a minute and what's going on in Raleigh and maybe some things going on in Gaston County and some great things you've got going in your family, all that good stuff. Before we do that, I do want to thank some of our sponsors, A+ Lawn Care and Landscaping. You know Scott.
Absolutely.
You got a great business there.
Can't beat A+.
There you go.
Scott
A+. Yeah. And Morgan's Shoes and Bootery.
Oh, yeah.
They support the men's conference, so we mentioned them on here, but they do supply some stuff and support the men's conference. So if you're supporting the men's conference, you're supporting the TGP ministry. So we appreciate that. And then
great shoes, great boots. They have pretty much everything.
Yeah, they're good stuff down there. And he does a good. Dave is a big supporter. Texas Roadhouse, they support us every year. They supported the car show last year. There's a bunch of others. So we'll talk about those at the end. So stick around. We want you to know who some of our sponsors are. So Brad, how's it going?
It's going great.
Yeah. How's Raleigh treating you?
Everything's fine. Enjoyed Christmas and the New Year. But it's time to get back to the people's business.
Right. So I know you don't ever stop working, but you're not always up there, because I was talking to John Tope the other day, and you have breaks and all that kind of stuff. But I know you're always working. But when do you guys actually return to Raleigh? When are you back in session?
So we're not sure yet. In North Carolina, it's a little different. Our session dates are not prescribed by law. There's not a set date that you have to start and a set date you have to end. So it's really going to depend on some negotiations going on right now between the House and the Senate.
Gotcha.
We could be back as early as this month. I don't think so. Or maybe as late as March or April.
Oh, wow. Okay. And that has to do with like budgetary stuff and things like that? Yeah.
Mostly appropriations issues.
I got you.
Yes.
Okay. By appropriations. So I need the lingo. I don't have the lingo.
No. You have the right lingo. It's just unclear whether we'll be negotiating a new comprehensive 2-year budget this year, or whether we're going to be passing a series of appropriations bills. Okay. So cool. No, I wasn't correct.
No,
you're right on
I'm
that.
sure. I don't know all the lingo, so that's
what you have me for.
Well,
Bill.
I was listening. Yes, exactly right. So I was listening to a Supreme Court hearing on Fox today when I was driving down the road. And I don't know what half of that stuff means. I kind of know what they're getting at, but I'm sure glad that there are smarter people than me serving in all kinds of places, because I don't have a clue.
Well, no, you're too modest. I don't believe all that. But, aren't we thankful for our current makeup of the U.S. and state Supreme Courts?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
It's been so important over the years. Yeah. We have a Chief Justice right now on the state Supreme Court, Paul Newby, who's doing a fantastic job. And just a few years ago, he was the dissenting opinion with 6 liberal justices and only one lone conservative. He was having to write every single dissent.
Yeah.
And now we have a majority of conservatives on the state Supreme Court, and of course, as your viewers know, on the U.S. Supreme Court as well.
Right. The importance. I think the people that are watching this understand that importance, but I hope, if we have not stressed that enough, the political involvement, the involvement in law, the involvement in government, the involvement in all of that is extremely important for Christians to be involved.
It is.
So we're supposed to be. We're not supposed to just sit back and let people take over and do stuff. Now, there's some people who have done really good things that maybe they weren't necessarily Christians. We supported them and they did good things.
Sure.
And that's okay too, but we need to be involved. So
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. There's it's only the elements that want to take our country and our state away from a Christian worldview that say, Christians, stay out of this.
Right.
This is, politics and religion don't mix. I would submit to you that if your faith doesn't inform your policy decisions and your political decisions, then it's not much of a faith.
Amen to that. Yeah, so I grew up, that's been my biggest complaint at the ripe old age of 63, that I grew up...
You don't look it.
But I appreciate that. I grew up believing what you just said because that's what they told us.
Yeah.
So for my entire young adult life, up until probably 10 or 15 years ago, I'm shouting and screaming, saying we're supposed to be, because they've told us shut up, sit back, accept the norm. They do let's shake hands across the aisle, and then they stab in the back. And I'm sorry, guys, I'm getting political here. I apologize for this. But I've seen this come from the left for the last 60 years, since I was 3 years old. And I've seen it, and I've grown up in it. And what I love right now is we're not taking it anymore. No. And it, unfortunately, it can get ugly sometimes, but the truth can be ugly, especially when the other side is not telling the truth. So I'm glad that we have strong individuals that are stepping up and stepping forward and speaking out, working for us on our behalf, but we got to be supporting you guys too. So anyway, I wasn't going there, but there I went.
Well, I think it's great. I think it's interesting, and we need to remind good godly men of that all the time. Whether you're in elected office, you're supporting it, you're working in the community or the church, it is important for godly men and ladies to step up and work toward a better society, to really promote that Christian conservative worldview.
Right, absolutely. So last time you were here would have been, I should have looked back at the date. Was it just after you got in office, probably?
Yes.
Okay. So tell me, we didn't talk about this, this wasn't planned. Tell me one thing as a godly Christian man that you got to Raleigh and you thought, oh, this, but instead it was, oh, this. Is there something like that you could think of?
Okay.
Sorry, I put you right on the spot there.
Yeah, I think there is often a misconception and an assumption that, okay, if a person's a Republican, they're definitely a Christian. And they definitely hold to a Christian worldview. Yeah. Many in the Republican Party and the legislature do hold to a Christian conservative worldview, but it is not universal. And so there is a lot of work to be done, a lot of advocacy to be done with my colleagues, with others, in kind of working on their elected officials and saying, hey, look, yes, we hold to a Republican worldview, but really to say it's ultimately the direction our society needs to go in and our policy needs to be made is with a conservative Christian worldview. Sure. And that has surprised me a bit, just the variance amongst even those in my own party.
Yeah, well, and even on the national level, I did not vote for my president to be my preacher. That's not what I elected him to be. I elected him to do things that were right for the people, and that is based upon my Christian view. And he's done more, in my opinion, from the Christian perspective, in the first term and in this term, more for Christians than I could pick the last 3 Republican presidents, maybe back to Reagan. But he's done more for the family, for Christians, for life, than any president in my lifetime that I can think of. So, but he's, I'm not going to say he's a nominal Christian, but whatever. I mean, we didn't elect him to be a preacher, but he has our views.
Well, and it's interesting to bring up the life issue. Okay. Because that's something that godly folks need to be talking about.
Yes.
We had for decades this abomination of a ruling out of the Supreme Court of Roe v. Wade, and the pro-life movement was really geared toward, let's get that overturned. At the time Roe v. Wade was implemented, this country was overwhelmingly a pro-life country. Yeah. Roe v. Wade comes in, and we fought the fight through the courts trying to get that horrific case changed. Yeah. Well, what we didn't realize was when Roe v. Wade was overturned, and thank God it was, our country was not such a pro-life country as we were decades ago when Roe v. Wade started. And all the overturning of Roe v. Wade did was put us back in the game on trying to impact policy. Right. Yeah. And so folks need to understand, overturning a Roe v. Wade was an excellent first step. Right. It was an excellent first step because it put it back in the people's hands, put it back in the legislatures of this country, of various states. And now the hard work of kind of rebuilding that pro-life movement to change the hearts and minds of the American people and the people of North Carolina has to be done. I think it's a new, challenging, but also wonderful opportunity for the pro-life movement to really shift gears toward making the case for life.
Well, and some of us just sat back and said, okay, Roe v. Wade's done, we're done. On this side of the perspective, but you guys see it every day. You're running into it every day, so we need to be reminded of that. And that was one of those issues as a kid, like I said, being brought up, that I was taught, since it was law, was normal. Abortions were normal. I mean, when I was a teenager, before I was saved, it was not unheard of, that one of the high school girls or somebody that you knew or somebody in the family, so they went and got an abortion, no big deal. I mean, really, honestly, that was the perspective until I got saved. But it was because of Roe v. Wade, pushing it into normalcy, which it wasn't normal. So we just accepted it as normal. So
that's right.
We gave up the fight too early on that one, I think.
Yeah, and now's the time to re-engage.
Yeah.
Roe v. Wade's gone, and now it's time for the pro-life movement to retool and convince folks for the case for life.
That's you guys. You guys are out there working. This is your fight right now. So not to say that old guys like me can't keep fighting.
It's a great fight to have. It's a great one. It's an important one to do, and it's not going to happen overnight. We're not going to win it overnight. You and I are both big baseball fans.
Yeah.
We're not in the bottom of the ninth right now in this fight. We're in we're probably in the third inning.
There you go.
So it's time to strategize and work, and it's a noble cause, and it's a noble thing to do, to convince people to recognize that all human beings are created in God's image, and that as those image bearers of God, they have deep and important intrinsic value.
Yeah. So speak out about it. Share. These things we say. Well, we don't discuss politics but whatever. That's not necessarily politics. No. That is God's word, and that's God's law. So anyway, there we go. I think that's right. Wasn't trying to get into the deep woods there, but we kind of did. So and that's okay. That's okay. So all right. So the Raleigh thing. Nothing else that surprised you up there when you got there, or you looked around and said, wow, I thought this might be a little bit different, or that you can think of off the top of your head? Or
I didn't quite know what to expect on the inside. I had interned in the state Senate 20-some years ago. Republicans were not in charge. It was a really different place in Raleigh. And again, I was there from an intern perspective as a college student. So I didn't quite know what it would look like. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Gaston County has a wonderful story to tell, and I try to tell Gaston's story every day and every week until my colleagues are tired of hearing about it.
There you go.
I mean, we're the 9th largest county and the 9th largest state in the country.
Right.
We have all kinds of industry and opportunity going on here in Gaston, and I don't believe that folks understand that story statewide.
Yeah.
And so I try to preach that often in Raleigh.
Well, I think I think Gaston County and Gastonia specifically went through so many years of not, I don't want to say not caring. I don't know what it was, but it was before I got here. So, because we didn't think very highly of Gaston County up in Iredell County. So, but now we do. Now you guys are making a good name for Gaston County again. So that's
it's really on the move. I mean, even down to, I'll give you a good example. Something that we're working on right now, that I'm working on, that our Gaston delegation's working on in Raleigh, is we have the North Carolina Textile Technology Center, and it's housed at the Gaston College campus in Belmont. There are some textile equipment and machinery there that's unmatched in the world.
Wow.
And our textile industries and other community leaders and business leaders have really funded that and purchased this incredible machinery. There's just a lot going on there by way of research and development, and also creation of very complex fibers. because the textile industry has changed. It's certainly much more technologically advanced these days.
Yeah.
And the state has woefully underfunded that for many years.
Yeah.
And I think some of that is the idea that, textiles, that's something of the past. Well, it's not something of the past. It's very much something of the future.
Right.
It's something that we need to continue to invest in. So we're trying to get a dramatic increase in the recurring state dollars coming into Gaston County to support our textile industry,
Nice.
really not just here in Gaston, not just here in North Carolina, but really across the globe.
Nice.
So that's a real focus of ours.
That's cool. Yeah, because it's an international competition.
It is.
And
Absolutely.
we were winning it. We were the superior ones for so long that I think we got comfortable with it. And we need to be back in that position.
We're aggressively working for it right now.
I love it. That's great. So cool. All right. Well, let's switch gears a little bit because this is about quote unquote the greater purpose, and that is, we always talk about family, we talk about community, we talk about things like that. So we had a little discussion ahead of time, and you didn't think it was that big of a deal, and I thought it was so cool, and then you elaborated a little bit more about the family board games. I love that. That is so cool.
Well, I mean, this is not something I had planned on coming and talk about on the show.
Still,
we were just catching up with each other beforehand. So if you want me to mention it, I can. My children are now 13 and 10, almost 11. Yeah. And when they were very little, we started playing board games, other family type games.
Cool.
And for whatever reason, we started writing down, what game we played and who won it.
Yeah.
And we've kept that list for years and years now.
Right.
We've gone from games like Go Fish to Monopoly or Risk now. So it's, as the kids have gotten older.
Yeah.
But and we trade a little medal around whoever wins.
That's
it's almost like the wrestling championship belt. The last winner gets it, and it's been fun because it's a chance for the four of us to sit down, play a game, talk to each other. It's almost like sitting around the dinner table together. And, we've been able to instill some good values in the children by doing that, show them how to win, show them how to lose, and do so gracefully and graciously.
And win graciously.
And not stand up after you win and say, take that or something, but also not to cry and pout and whine if you lose. And nobody lets anybody win. It's a competition. So we all try to win. There's no freebies for anybody. And,
cool.
And we can look back on that, all these pieces of paper that are now dog-eared and stapled together. That's all that, and look back at over time.
Well, the family values part of that to me is important because we don't do that anymore. We sit at the table on our electronic devices, and you see if you're in a restaurant at any time, you see entire families and they're all on their electronic devices, and they hand the little kid. And I teach technology to kids, so I'm not adverse to technology. I'm just adverse to the technology being the babysitter of the kid for 24 hours a day, which is what happens.
Yeah, there's a time for it, and there's a time to put it up.
Sure.
And frankly, children are learning this from adults.
Right.
I mean, it's ridiculous.
Right.
Everybody has the phone. That's fine. I use it. It's been helpful to me to have my email on my phone and everything else as I go back and forth to Raleigh. But when we get home, it should be family time.
Right. Well, so to tie that in, last week's podcast was Maverick Imlay. I don't know if you met him or not. He's from, it's not Young College Republicans. He's at Gardner Webb. And he, during the podcast, picked up his phone and said, this is one of the biggest problems. This is a 19-year-old kid. This is one of the biggest problems we have right here. So for him to recognize that in his generation, and you're bringing up a generation that will hopefully understand that too, I just think that there's some hope.
Yeah, well, yeah. So we getting back to policy, it's not politics, getting back to policy, there's a nexus here. Yeah. So we worked on, and I worked very, very heavily on it, a cell phone ban for our schools here in North Carolina. Yeah. And what we found out in reviewing the research and looking at these studies, the kids wanted a total ban statewide. because they didn't want it to be school by school.
Yeah.
And the reason for it is they would get a little anxiety. Oh, my friend that goes to school down the street, they have their phones. What am I missing on social media? What am I missing by not having my phone? I can't have my phone, but they may have it. There was a bit of anxiety that showed up in the studies.
Yeah.
And all the studies showed that children, by and large, not that they get to dictate what state policy is, but it was an interesting tidbit in the studies that they wanted a statewide ban, not school by school, for that very reason.
Yeah.
So they didn't have to worry. Hey, look, all my friends are off of this.
Yep.
Nobody has
takes
it.
away the peer
There's nothing to
pressure,
miss. I'm not thinking, gosh, my phone's over in this, over here, and it's off, and what's all's going on there. They were thinking, okay, none of my friends are on it during the school day.
Yeah.
So no big deal.
So now they're implementing all that. Well, I mean, it's already implemented, but the governor, I won't say name, was, I think, in Mecklenburg County last week, or maybe this week, discussing all that kind of stuff with the school system. Not trying to give him any credit, but it's the law, so he has to be a part of it whether he wants to be or not. So, but anyway, so I was glad to hear that, because I thought that was important, because I see it. I'm not in school. I'm in a couple of private schools, and even some of those are not implementing rules like they were 4 or 5, 6 years ago. But now all of a sudden those rules have changed, and I'm seeing these kids walking down the hallway, running into the walls and almost running you over. So because they're glued to that thing.
It's not good for them.
No.
It's a big problem.
Yeah.
And it's a big problem for college students too.
Yeah.
So it's great to hear that some are waking up and seeing that.
Well, I mean, you wouldn't take a laptop and walk down the hallway with it and just be playing on the laptop.
Right.
So there's really no difference to that. But also the games, some of the, even just the little Nintendo games and stuff, that it needs to be in moderation. That's all. It needs to be some.
I agree.
So play board games.
Okay. There you go. Hey, listen.
Yeah.
You may get pushed back if kids have grown up for a little while not playing board games, and they say, "Oh, that seems boring." I can assure you, once they start playing it,
we did it. Yeah, when they're all in their 20s now, but we did that. So let's see, 15 years ago. They were 7, 9, and 11, I think. So so we just pull out the deck of Uno cards, or I think it's 2 decks you got to play.
A lot of Uno.
Yeah. Played Uno. We played. We did Monopoly. We played. There are a couple others, and you just play and you have fun, and you're chatting and you're talking, you're competing. So nothing wrong with that. So it's good stuff.
Not at all.
Yeah, cool. So what about? All right, so we're in election season. This is not a political. This is not a political. Podcast, but we already said the importance of godly men, specifically men, although godly men and women, but godly men being in office. So you've got an election coming up. Not the primary, but you'll be in the general for
yes. Yes. I have an opponent. I'm standing for re-election in November.
Yep.
A lot of people don't know this, but even in the state Senate, we have 2-year terms. In North Carolina, our Constitution calls us all 170 legislators, 120 House members, all 50 senators. Every 2 years in the even elections in November, we stand before the people. But I'm happy to do it. There's a story to tell.
Yeah.
And I'm so appreciative of the folks of Gaston County. We're working on a lot of good things. We've talked about some high-level policy issues here and sort of deep philosophical things, but we're also working on things like water and sewer infrastructure. That's not something that most people think about until they have to.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's something that we need a lot of investment in. That's something that traditionally your municipalities will handle. It's not a state function, but in order to help Gaston County catch up, the state has invested, and we work very hard to do this. Has invested over $60 million, actually over $80 million just in Gaston County in water and sewer infrastructure to try to help Gaston catch up from that. And so, whether it's high-level philosophical debates, or whether it's water and sewer, which nobody likes to talk about, but it's absolutely critical. Yeah. We expect it to work, and we expect it to function appropriately, and that doesn't just happen through magic. Yeah. That's something that we've focused on. Certainly, our healthcare system is always in need. Right. Nursing shortages and others have plagued not just this state, not just this county, but that abounds. But we were able to secure $60 million, and it sounds like a fortune, for a new health sciences center at Gaston College. That I'm told by folks that are in that profession will end our nursing shortage for the foreseeable future in this area, not just in Gaston, but in this part of the state. Yeah. And so things like that don't often hit the headlines. Right. That we're working on, I think, really has an impact on our people here in Gaston. So I hope folks will remember that when they go to the polls in November, and I would appreciate your vote and your support. Yeah, and like I said before, we're not voting for preachers, we're not voting for for spiritual leaders, that kind of thing, but we are voting for the people that do the right thing for the people. Well, and I think I can give an interesting and very quick contrast in this without even talking about Republican and Democrat. Okay. Of course, I am a Republican, but you said this is not all about political parties or political talk. But I can just say I approach, as I mentioned earlier, all policy decisions in Raleigh through the lens of a conservative Christian worldview. Right. That informs the decisions I make, how I vote, and how I look at things. Mm-hmm. I have an opponent who's filed against me, whose first issue put on social media. Somebody sent a screenshot to me. First issue was Free Palestine. And so, you don't have to get political to show that type of contrast in what folks are looking at. Right. Well, and to me, that's just so crazy out there anyway, because it has nothing to do with what we're talking about for you doing for the people of Gaston County anyway. Absolutely. We want you to be doing the things that you're working on. And I will speak from a Gaston County conservative Republican GOP perspective, and even though there's some fights going on in between, for primaries, I get that's okay, nothing wrong with that. We'll fight it out, and then we'll support each other later, and that's nothing wrong. That's good and healthy. But the Gaston County GOP to me is almost like a family. Yeah. Primaries split us up a little bit, but we always come back together and we always work together. You guys, and I could rattle off a bunch of names here, but I won't, but you know the guys' names, and you people out there would know the names, but you guys work together well. And that's important, because if you're up there by yourself and you've got other people of completely different perspectives, then that doesn't work out so well. But you guys work well together. I'll brag on Gaston again. So from two perspectives. Mm-hmm. One is our Gaston legislative delegation. Yes. John Torbett, Donnie Loftus, Ted Alexander, who represent. He's a senator. He represents Cherryville. Yep. Gaston's grown so much that I have all of Gaston County except for the Cherryville precincts. Right. And Kelly Hastings. I mean, we all work together, collaborate together to try to push Gaston forward. Mm-hmm. So I'm so thankful for good, solid guys to work with when we're in Raleigh. It really matters. You have some that the senators and the representatives will fight with each other, or whatever the case, and not in Gaston County. We all team up, work together, and I'm so thankful for those guys. They mean a lot to me, and it's really helped us get some wins on the board for Gaston County. Yeah, well, the other thing I'll mention, and we're talking about this being an election year, 20% of the statewide candidates are Republican nominees. 20% of our statewide candidates are from Gaston County. Wow. So we have Craig Collins, who is not facing a primary, and Craig is from Gaston County. Amazing man, and really could not ask for a better candidate for Court of Appeals. Right. So he's running statewide for Court of Appeals. There's only 5 seats up. And then now he does have a primary, but Michael Whatley, former RNC and NCGOP chairman, is a Gaston guy.
After Trump won, I call him the American hero.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah,
I mean,
amazing.
Whatley has done wonderful things for our parties.
And I know he can, if he can take what he did. Listen, folks, if you don't realize what he did in that campaign for this country, then you don't know what you're talking about. If he can, and I think he can do, I'm going to call it miraculous work for this state as a senator, like he did in that campaign, and I'm sure he can. It would be absolutely amazing.
Absolutely. And so, assuming Whatley, and I'm confident he will, wins that primary in March, we will have 2 out of the 5 statewide races. So 20% of the statewide races will be Gaston guys. So, we have a chance for that.
I know we got people watching from other places, but you know what? We're proud of Gaston County. Right? So that's cool. All right, cool deal. So anything else you want to wrap up with? Any thoughts you want to share that would be like powerfully inspirational or anything like that?
I don't know that it would be powerfully inspirational, but something that I've been thinking about lately, Bill, is, we're all very quick to change our outlook on things based on whether we've won an election, lost an election, who's in power, who's not in power. I mean, we just had municipal elections here in Gaston County, and in many of our municipalities did not have the results that certainly that I wanted and that many watching would have wanted. Not everywhere. There were some bright spots, but and then of course we had 2 years ago, an election that most of us were very thrilled with, and we have a tendency to kind of go swing up and down based on, who's in office, who's not in office, and I've really tried to remember the verse that says, "The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it." So no matter what we're facing, and we see riots, we see murders. With Irina Zarutska is just so horrific, and we all saw it on video camera, how she was brutally murdered on the light rail in Charlotte. And of course, we passed Irina's law. I had a very strong hand in drafting a lot of those provisions, and I'm proud of that. But when you see something like that, it's just so easy to despair. Now we're seeing what's going on in Minneapolis, more riots after they burned that city down 5 or 6 years ago. And so these negative things can happen, and it can impact our outlook. But I just try to remember that the light of Jesus Christ shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. We are going to win this, being our Lord and Savior. We know how this story will end, and I think a little bit of optimism, regardless of the positive and negative swings that happen in day-to-day life. That's something I'm trying to focus on in 2026.
That's great. Well, keep up the good fight. That's what we should all be doing. The guys that come in here are inspiration of that. So whatever level it is, you don't have to run for state senate or president or even soil and water. You don't have to do that.
We're glad you did.
We hope that you will take the step forward to that. But there's things you can do in your community, in your family, with your kids, at your work, in your recreation, whatever. There are ways that you can shine the light of Jesus through your life, and that inspires somebody else to walk a godly walk, I think.
Well, so that's Bill, thanks for doing this. Thanks for this podcast. Thanks for all you're doing in our schools, what you're doing in your church and in our faith community, and thanks for serving. Well, you guys, soil and water.
You guys are amazing, and you guys are inspirational for that. And because we know our scriptures that we have posted right here, because I'm not good at quoting stuff. You have a memory is it like an elephant? Is that what it's called? I'm sure you remember everything. But Romans 8:28, and we know that God causes all things to work together for those who love God and to those who are called according to His purpose. So if you love God, and if you are working toward His good, and you're serving His purpose, He's going to take it, and like you said a minute ago, He's going to work it all out. So we just got to keep plugging away and trying and serving him.
And I agree with that. And thank you for having me on before spring training starts, because Bill and I, we get along and agree on almost everything until I have to deal with the Cubbies instead of my Bravos.
Well, but the good thing about
so go Braves.
The good thing about the last couple years is either you guys were really, really good and we were really, really bad, or you guys were bad and we were good. So it worked out okay.
Right.
We didn't have to meet in the playoffs or anything like that. So no, I can pull for the Braves as long as they're not playing the Cubs.
Fair enough.
I don't have any. There's no teams I hate except for the St. Louis Cardinals. Just so you know, right? So, and you guys have one. Who's your biggest?
All the Phillies.
That is
the
really?
Phillies.
Oh, gotcha.
I mean, my goodness.
Yeah.
Never pull for the Phillies.
Okay, all right, yeah. That's for Craig
Collins.
That's for Craig
Collins. We mentioned him earlier. Vote for him, please, for Court of Appeals. He's going to be a great judge, but don't accept his judicial pronouncements on baseball.
Yeah, because he's a Pitt fan. He's a
Villanova, Pitt, Eagles
fan.
Phillies.
They're out of there. Give me a break. So anyway, but we love you, Craig. We love you anyway. So listen, thank you guys for following the podcast. Thank you for sharing, liking, subscribing, all that kind of stuff. Remember, we have the TGP Daily Inspirational Devos every morning at 7 o'clock. Hopefully they help you start your day off. Brad, thank you so much for being here again.
Really
we'll have you back again, and
we'll
talk about some more cool stuff that's going on in Raleigh and the great things you guys are doing up there. Thank you guys. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate you. God bless you, and take care. We'll see you on the next Greater Purpose Podcast.